Hello and welcome. This is McGoobage. My name is Andy and this is a fairly new YouTube channel. For those of you that have seen my channel before, you would have seen that I did 2 playthrough series last season and got sacked twice in non-league. I'm useless with tactics. The thing is, I know there are plenty of people out there that also are. You're a bit like me, you struggle. So, I've been on the community forums, I've been around different websites, and I'm going to put together a tactical experiment. Now this experiment will be 4 of the most popular tactics tested with every single Premier League team, starting with the top 6 this week and then moving forward to the rest of the Premier League, just to see how effective they actually are. Now there are 2 types of people that play Football Manager, according in my view. It's those that have the time to create and develop their own tactics, and there are those that don't have the time, that would love to have the time to develop their own tactics but need to play the game for an hour or a couple of hours a day or a couple of hours a week. They just want to download a popular one and give it a whirl. Hopefully these videos will give you a bit of a guide as to what tactics work with each team to help get me started. Let's get straight into it. Tactic number 1 is by Knap, who's a popular poster on the forums, the SI community forums, and it's the 4-2-3-1 Beowulf. There's plenty of different versions on here. He tests I think on FM Touch and things like that. It's the Giraffin version that we're going to be using. That is tactic number 1. That's a 4-2-3-1 formation. I'll go into it when we get into the game, but that's tactic number 1. Tactic number 2 is by Fuss, Minimal Fuss, Fastidious, or Fastidious I should say. Again, a regular poster. He's a regular poster on this particular forum, and I'm using the stable version, version 2. So all the links to the tactics will be in the description. Minimal Fuss, Fastidious, version 2, the 4-1-2-2-1 formation. Tactic number 3 is by Rossler, who is another brilliant technician, and he's a regular poster on the forums. His is the Steadfast, a flat 4-1-4-1 formation. Very popular, and again he has a lot of success with his tactics. This will be implemented as tactic number 3. Tactic number 4 will be Jamie's 4-2-3-1 attacking Catenaccio with set pieces. This is a very popular tactic on his Twitch channel, and this is going to be tactic number 4. So hello, this is Bournemouth, the first of the other sides in the Premier League. We've done the top 6, and if you've missed those videos, check out the playlist that will be linked at the end of this video. But this is Bournemouth, and we're going to test all 4 tactics with Bournemouth and see how we get on. Again, just to reiterate, if you've never seen one of these tactical test videos that I'm doing, responsibilities: all the staff look after everything. I don't handle anything. So the assistant manager does the training, the chairman, directors do the recruiting and offering new contracts and hiring staff. I don't get involved in anything, and also in the first team, tactical briefings are handled by the assistant manager. So tactic number 1, as we all know, is the Tiplicet Tic-a-Taca, the Beowulf by Knap. It's slightly shorter passing to space. You play out of defence with low crosses, run at defence, work the ball into the box, overlap on both sides with a slightly lower tempo. Now in transition you take short kicks, distribute to fullbacks, counter and counter press, and out of possession you defend narrower with a higher defensive line and higher line of engagement. Extremely urgent, you prevent the short goalkeeper distribution, you get stuck in using tighter marking and use of the offside trap. Oh dear, catch my breath. So, just to point out that as with all the rest of these tactics, I'm looking to play the best players, fit the strongest players into the formation, even if they don't suit the actual position. This is all about consistency. It's what I'm doing in every single video, so there will be people that see this that say, well, he can't play there. I'm just trying to fit people into positions that are the strongest of their squad. So this tactic is flexible. The goalkeeper's on defend, Begovic. 2 wing backs on attack, Daniels and Smith, with 2 ball playing defenders, Steve Cook and Nathan Aki. A deep line playmaker, Lewis Cook. Box to box, Lerma, both on support. Inside forwards on support, Fraser and Stanislas, with Joshua King as the attacking midfielder and Callum Wilson as the advanced forward up front on attack. Let's see how Bournemouth get on with this tactic. Bournemouth have finished 6th and a Europa League place, which is a great performance from them. So Liverpool champions, Man City 2nd, Arsenal 3rd, Chelsea 4th, Tottenham 5th, Bournemouth 6th and Man United 7th. Let's have a look at the schedule. So, opening day of the season, they lost to Man United away, but they then had a sustained period of unbeaten. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 games in all competitions unbeaten, including wins in the Premier League over Wolves and Southampton. They beat Leeds in the EFL Cup second round, drew with Cardiff in the Premier League, but then beat Newcastle, West Ham, beat Liverpool in the EFL Cup third round, beat Cardiff in the Premier League, Everton they drew, beat Tottenham away 4-1 in the Premier League, which is outstanding, then lost to Man City at home 1-0. Moving forward, EFL Cup fourth round, big win against Bristol Rovers 6-1. Drew with Burnley Premier League, lost to Arsenal Premier League, but then beat Watford, Huddersfield, Leicester, Fulham and Brighton in the Premier League, which was outstanding. But then there's a run of defeats here. They lost the EFL Cup quarter-final to Newcastle, lost to Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea and Wolves in the Premier League. Moving forward to January, drew the first game of the FA Cup third round against Leicester, won in the Premier League against Southampton, and then beat Leicester in a penalty shootout FA Cup third round replay. Beat Cardiff Premier League, beat Barnsley FA Cup fourth round, beat Newcastle Premier League. They lost away at West Ham in the Premier League, but then at another unbeaten run of 6 games. Premier League they beat Palace. They won the FA Cup fifth round against Sheffield Wednesday. They beat Everton, Tottenham in the Premier League. They drew with Man City and Burnley. They won the FA Cup sixth round to get through to the semi-final. They lost to Watford in the Premier League. They beat Arsenal in the Premier League. They lost the FA Cup semi-final 3-0 to Man City, which is no bad thing. There's no disgrace in that. Huddersfield, they drew in the Premier League. They beat Leicester. They drew with Fulham. They beat Brighton in the Premier League. Drew with Chelsea away, but lost the last home game, the last Premier League game, to Liverpool. Outstanding performances here. Let's have a look at the players and the player ratings. Top, Sebastian Prodl. Mind you, he only played 2 games. Okay, Nathan Ake was top with Lerma, Daniel Smith and Cook. 7.21, 7.17s, 7.15 and 7.13. Goals. Callum Wilson, 18 from 45 and 3 assists, with Jefferson Lerma, 11, 39 and 3. Joshua King, 10, 47 and 5. Fraser, 9 out of 39 and 3, with Nathan Ake weighing in with 7 goals. So that's been really impressive, I have to say. That has been tactic number 1, and Bournemouth finished 6th, got to the FA Cup semi-final, and a good season. That's tactic number 1. Okay, so here we go. This is tactic number 2. And this is the minimal fuss is fastidious. It's a positive formation. It's the one tactic with the least instructions. In possession, you ask the shorter passing, play out of defence, work the ball into the box, lower tempo and waste time. In transition, you roll it out, distribute to fullbacks, counter and counter press. And then out of possession, you've got a high defensive line, prevent short goalkeeper distribution and use of the offside trap. It's 4-1-4-1 DM wides, and the goalkeeper sweeper keeper on defend, Begovic. Your 2 fullbacks and wingbacks on support, Daniels and Smith. 2 centre-backs on defend, Ake and Cook. A defensive midfielder on defend, Andrew Sermon. Box-to-box midfielder, Lerma on support, Lewis Cook, Mazzala on attack. 2 inside forwards, King and Stanislas on support. Callum Wilson, the deep line forward, on attack up front. Let's see how it plays out. So, tactic number 2 wasn't as successful. Bournemouth finished 9th. Liverpool won the league, Chelsea 2nd, Man City 3rd, United 4th, Tottenham 5th, Arsenal 6th and Southampton got into the Europa League. Bournemouth finished 4 points outside the Europa League place. Let's have a look at the schedule. So, Premier League, they started off with a draw away at United, then beat Wolves, lost to Southampton, but then won against Peterborough in the League Cup second round. Premier League, they beat Cardiff away, they drew with Newcastle away, they beat West Ham and beat the MK Dons in the EFL Cup third round. Drew with Crystal Palace in the Premier League at home. Lost to Everton, Tottenham and Man City in the Premier League, 3 defeats in a row, but they beat Everton in the EFL Cup fourth round. They lost to Burnley away in the Premier League, but then had an unbeaten run here of 5 games where they beat Arsenal 4-1 in the Premier League at home, Watford 3-1 away, Huddersfield 2-0 at home, Leicester 4-1 away, and Fulham 2-0 at home. Unfortunately, they lost to Brighton away in the Premier League. But look at this. EFL Cup quarter-final, they beat Tottenham 2-0. Drew with Man United, suffered a big defeat away at Liverpool 6-1. Drew with Chelsea in the Premier League. Moving forward to January now. Beat Wolves in the Premier League, won the FA Cup third round against Brentford. They drew the EFL Cup semi-final first leg with Watford away. Lost to Southampton Premier League, drew with Cardiff. Lost 5-0 at home in the second leg of the EFL Cup and went out at that stage. That's the semi-final, so that's been quite good for them, a good run. Beat Aston Villa in the FA Cup fourth round. Beat Newcastle in the Premier League at home and West Ham away in the Premier League. They lost away to Crystal Palace Premier League. They drew at home the FA Cup fifth round to Forest, but won the away return game 2-1 to go through to the sixth round. Lost to Everton in the Premier League. Lost to Man City Premier League. They beat Burnley. They drew with Tottenham. Got knocked out in the FA Cup sixth round by Liverpool. Beat Watford Premier League. Beat Arsenal and Huddersfield. Lost to Leicester, but beat Fulham, beat Brighton. In the last 2 games of the season, they lost heavily at Chelsea and they lost to Liverpool. So let's see player performance-wise. Average ratings. Cook, Aki, Stanislas, Sermon and Wilson are the top 5. 7.13, 705, 704, 702 and 702. Not really high ratings. Goals. Callum Wilson, 21 from 49 with 9 assists. Next best is Fraser and Lewis Cook, both on 7. And Stanislas had 7 from 45 but with 14 assists. And Jordan Ibe with 6 from 22. They got to another semi-final, which was a good performance, but the Premier League wasn't great. It wasn't as good as the last one. That's tactic number 2. So here we go. This is tactic number 3. This is Rossler's steadfast 4-1-4-1 version 2. It's an attacking tactic, and in possession you're asked for shorter passing to space and out of defence, low crosses, run at the defence, work the ball into the box, but focus play this time through the middle of the pitch. In transition, take short kicks, counter press, and out of possession you defend narrower, much higher defensive line and line of engagement. It's extremely urgent with a short goalkeeper distribution and use of the offside trap. As we said, it's a 4-1-4-1 DM formation, and Begovic is the goalkeeper, sweeper keeper on defend. 2 complete wing-backs, Daniels and Smith on attack. 2 centre-backs on defend, Aki and Cook, with Sermon as the half-back this time on defend. 2 wide midfielders, Fraser and Stanislas on attack. 2 box-to-box midfielders on support. You've got Lewis Cook and Lerma, with Callum Wilson as the false 9 on support up front. Joshua King's not in this team. Stanislas and Fraser are the wingers in this one. Let's see how the tactic plays out. So, tactic number 3, and Bournemouth got into the Europa League and finished 7th. City won the league, followed by Liverpool, United, Arsenal, Chelsea and West Ham. Let's have a look at play at the schedule even. Schedule first. Wow, look at these pre-season games. Okay, so the Premier League started off on fire here. First defeat was at the 23rd of December. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 games unbeaten in the Premier League. That is outstanding. So they started off by beating Man United in the Premier League away 1-0. Then beat Wolves and Southampton, a big win, 5-2 at home. Beat Northampton in the EFL Cup second round, 5-0. Went away to Cardiff and won 4-0. Drew with Newcastle. Beat West Ham 3-2 Premier League. But look at this. West Brom. EFL Cup third round. Won 7-0. Crystal Palace they beat in the Premier League. And Everton. They drew 3-3 in away with Tottenham. Beat Man City 4-1 in the Premier League. But lost the EFL Cup fourth round on penalties to City. They then beat Burnley. They beat Arsenal, they beat Watford, they beat Huddersfield, they beat Leicester, drew with Fulham and beat Brighton. to finish their 17-game unbeaten run in the Premier League, which is outstanding. They then lost to Man United, drew with Liverpool and lost to Chelsea and Wolves in the Premier League. Into January now, in FA Cup third round, they beat Southend, drew with Southampton and Cardiff in the Premier League, beat Rotherham FA Cup fourth round, beat Newcastle and West Ham in the Premier League, drew with Palace, drew with Chelsea in the FA Cup fifth round, and a big win in the Premier League against Everton at home, 5-2. Lost the FA Cup fifth round replay to Chelsea at home, 3-0. Then had a little bit of dip in form for 4 games. They lost to Man City Premier League, drew with Tottenham, lost to Burnley, and a big defeat to Arsenal, 5-3. They picked up again though the next 5. They beat Watford, they drew with Huddersfield and Leicester. They beat Fulham, beat Brighton. The last 2 games of the season as usual, Chelsea and Liverpool, they lost to Chelsea. They drew with Liverpool. Let's see player ratings. Big ratings here, massive ratings. So Stanislas was top on 7.80, with Smith 7.61, Cook 7.30, and then Lewis Cook, the defensive midfielder, on 7.23. Goals wise, Stanislas 12 from 21 games and 9 assists. Lerma 11 from 44, Fraser 9 from 44, 18 assists for Ryan Fraser out wide left. Lewis Cook 7 from 38 with 7, and Adam Smith 7 from 42 with 17. Now you'll notice that there's somebody missing here. Let's have a look at their transfers. Transfer history. Joshua King went for 16.25 million, and then Callum Wilson joined for Chelsea in January. So he missed out on 2 big signings, or 2 players went, but they bought this guy who's not a striker, so they never replaced their strikers. They did well. That's been tactic number 3. Okay, so this is tactic number 4, the final one, the FM Scout Catanaccio. And this is an attacking tactic. It's shorter passing to space, play out of defence, low crosses, work the ball into the box and focus play down each flank with slightly lower tempo. In transition, you distribute to fullbacks, you counter and counter press, and out of possession, defend narrow with a high defensive line and line of engagement, extremely urgent, prevent a short goalkeeper distribution, get stuck in using tighter marking and use of the offside trap. It's a 4-2-3-1 wide formation, as you can see. Begovic is the goalkeeper on defend, with 2 wing-backs on attack, Daniels and Smith, 2 ball-playing defenders this time, Aki and Steve Cook, a deep line playmaker on support in Lewis Cook, with box-to-box midfield on support Lerma, 2 inside forwards, Fraser and Stanislas on support. Joshua King is back in the team as an advanced midfielder or attacking midfielder on attack. Callum Wilson, the advanced forward on attack. Let's see how tactic number 4 plays out. Okay, tactic number 4, and Bournemouth finished 7th again and in the Europa League again. Liverpool won the league by Man United, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea and Tottenham. Let's have a look at the schedule. So they lost the opening Premier League game 5-2 away at Man United, beat Wolves, drew with Southampton and then won the FA Cups, or the EFL Cup second round 3-0 against Wigan. They beat Cardiff, Newcastle and West Ham in the Premier League. They won on penalties against Wolves in the EFL Cup third round and drew to Crystal Palace in the Premier League. They beat Everton and Tottenham in the Premier League, and they drew with Man City. Knocked out EFL Cup fourth round by Crystal Palace away. Premier League, they beat Burnley and beat Arsenal, so they've beaten Tottenham and Arsenal and Everton in the space of 6 weeks, which is a good performance. Lost to Watford in the Premier League, beat Huddersfield, lost to Leicester, beat Fulham and Brighton, lost to United, drew with Liverpool and then lost to Chelsea. Into January now. They drew with Wolves, in the Premier League, but look at this. 8-0 they beat West Ham and Callum Wilson scored 5 goals in the FA Cup third round. Drew with Southampton away. Lost to Cardiff away, Premier League, and lost to Liverpool in the FA Cup, unfortunately. If you notice, Adam Smith was sent off in the 72nd minute when it was 0-0. Liverpool scored a 93rd minute winner. Newcastle they beat in the Premier League. Lost to West Ham and Palace in the Premier League. Drew with Everton and beat Tottenham. Did a double over Tottenham, which is always good. Lost to Man City Premier League. They beat Burnley, they drew with Watford, lost heavily to Arsenal 5-2 Premier League, and Huddersfield 2-1. They drew with Leicester, they drew with Fulham, they beat Brighton, lost to Chelsea, but they beat Liverpool in the last game of the season. Let's have a look at the player ratings. So let's have a look at players that have played majority of the season. Stanislas 7.12, Lerma 7.11, Fraser 7.10, Wilson 7.09 and Cook 7.03. Low ratings. Goals, Callum Wilson 25 from 40 games and 7 assists. Fraser 13 from 42 with 9. Stanislas 11 from 38 and 14, with Lerma 10 from 37 and 3 assists as the next best. So they finished 7th, didn't do much in the cup competitions and had low ratings, but that's tactic number 4. So that's it, that's the end of this particular tactical test. You can see the 4 tactics with varying levels of success. What do you think of the video? What do you think of those particular tactics? All the links to the tactics are in the description below. If you like the video, please hit the like button for me. It helps me build this channel. And please subscribe for more videos. There'll be a video of every single Premier League team with the same 4 tactics to see how they do. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the bell for notifications for when these next videos come out. Thank you very much. Show your support, and I'd love to know all your comments. Let me know what you think of the tactics. Let me know what you think if you download them and play them. And just, yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.